Hey everybody, Derek here again. I'm here to bring you another video for our Sons of Anarchy countdown to the final season. We are exactly 2 weeks away from our upcoming final season of Sons of Anarchy. Definitely getting excited. We definitely have a lot of things to look forward to this fall, and I'm definitely excited to see what Kurt Sutter has in store for us for the final chapter of Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy has always been a great show, definitely had a lot of great plot twists. They definitely have done a great job, especially Kurt Sutter and anybody else involved with the project has definitely done a great job of telling the story. I've enjoyed it. Every season was great in some capacity or another. Never really has had a dull moment, at least for me, and I really, really enjoy it. So I'm going to be starting tonight my Sons of Anarchy Season 2 review. I'm going to be doing all of the episodes, reviewing them, talking about some of the major plot lines and, some of the things that, extend into the later seasons. Season 2 overall is just a great, great season. Definitely put the club at one of its hardest tests it's probably ever had in its history. And just the way that they develop these characters, the tense storylines that they had, definitely was a great season. They definitely, I'd say this one or either season 4 is my favorite. I can't tell at this time. It's a lot harder for me to really pick things out. I'm gonna have to rewatch everything. But season 2 was just absolutely incredible. Every episode made me want the next week to come immediately, and I really, really enjoyed it. Great storytelling, great actors. You adding Adam Arkin, uh, Henry Rollins to the cast was definitely a great idea. I loved it. It was a great season. And tonight, what I'm going to be doing is season 2, episode 1, which was called Albification. I'm going to be doing that review. So just in case you're catching up on Sons of Anarchy, or just in case you just started watching it, hey, you might be. Definitely a great show. Definitely a good time to get into it for the final season. Please don't watch this video as it may contain spoilers. I don't want to spoil anybody. So if you're not caught up, don't watch the video yet. Okay. Now, I looked up the term albification, and I believe that it means to make something white or the process of something becoming white. Definitely a very interesting term. And I think that it definitely applies here. Because what you have here is the League of American Nationalists, or LOAN, headed by Zabel and, A.J. Weston, are basically trying to, exert their white power ideals over Charming, making it basically a lone, town by setting up shop and getting rid of Sam Crow. There's definitely a lot of great things that happened in this episode. They really set up some great storylines, and there were a lot of tense moments in this episode. There really were. The first thing that I want to do is start from the beginning. So I think about 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks have passed since the end of season 1. I know that it was a little bit of time has passed, but not a lot, because you have Opie coming back from a walkabout. Basically, he left, needed some time on his own, needed to think things through, try to get himself cleansed from, Donna's death, which, I mean, obviously you're never going to 100% get over, but, basically to try to, find his way again, be able to adapt and be able to continue life. So he comes back, and at this time, the Sons basically make a new deal with the IRA that they're going to run the guns up the coast. Cameron and Edmund Hayes basically make a new deal with the Sons. They want them to run the guns rather than just assemble them, which they agreed to, but Jax is basically able to negotiate a better price for them. Definitely shows Jax stepping up. And that was a subtle moment of basically like, there's still tension between him and Clay, because Clay's responsible for Donna's death. And Clay, knows that Jax knows, and it's basically like a powder keg with these two. Who's going to explode first? And, Jax makes a jab at him, like, call a vote, Prez, like, hey, basically like mocking Clay's leadership, challenging him. And, Clay's willing to play along with it. He just realizes that, if Jax reveals this, it's going to blow the club up in general. And who knows, maybe people might not believe him. So basically both know that they're at each other's mercy in a way. So basically, Jax tries to set things up in order to protect Opie, because he doesn't want to see Opie get hurt in all of this. So he's able to convince Hale not to spread his suspicions to Opie, in exchange for Hale basically telling Jax that the club needs to let Unser step down at the end of the term that he has for being the chief. He wants the badge. He wants to be able to step up and be chief. So he basically tells Jax, "Okay, I will not say anything if you let Unser step down." He also was able to convince Piney not to say anything, basically saying that now's not the right time and that one day he will make it right. And Piney trusts him. Piney believes that Jax is going to make this right one day. So he puts his faith in Jax. So that was something that, Jax set up in order to make sure that Opie wasn't hurt. Now, obviously, with Opie coming back, he's going to want to know who killed his wife and who is he, supposed to kill. Because obviously Opie's going to want revenge for that. He doesn't want the murder of Donna out there, living. It's basically like, you killed Donna, so now I want you dead. That's just the way that he is, and that's just the way that those, that they live as a biker club. Not all biker clubs, just the Sons. Basically, it's you hurt my club, so now I have to hurt you. Just, this is just basic gang warfare. This is basic, revenge. Lots of different feelings involved with this. So Opie basically wants to know who, and Clay is basically able to get fake fingerprints from Unser that basically set up this Mayan named Elian Perez as the murderer, which we all know is not actually the killer. We know that Tig did it. And he's basically able to set that up. And Opie says, okay, let's go out there and do it. Him, Tig, Chibs, and Jax all go out there and capture this guy. So basically they're able to get the guy, and Opie wants him to admit that he killed his wife. Of course, the guy has no idea what's going on. He's not going to admit to anything. So basically, Jax is able to get Opie away from the situation. Tig stays behind and is basically able to shoot the guy in the mouth so he can't talk. And basically says, hey, the guy went for my gun. We know that he obviously did it, or he wouldn't have tried to do that. So Opie and the club is satisfied with that. Opie finishes the guy off and carves an A into the guy's chest. And I think that this was set up by Clay, if I'm not mistaken. I think that basically he wanted to end this Mayan Sons relationship. He basically was never comfortable with it in the first place. And I also think that the Niners weren't willing to, negotiate with that. They weren't accepting of the alliance either. Even though they kind of insisted, hey, we can sell guns to anybody we want, it's clear that you're going to tick somebody off if they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. So Clay wanted to end that relationship, but Jax doesn't want to see that, come back and hit the club because they know that the Mayans might try to retaliate. So he shoots the A off of Perez's chest. Basically, Jax says he's going to dump the body. He takes the body out, and he takes the guy's thumb and bends it in to make it look like a 9. So it was almost like an indication that the Niners did it. So Jax is basically trying to play, the mediator, trying to make sure that the club isn't going to get hit because of all that they did. So definitely a lot other things. I mean, Clay and Jax are at odds at this point, which is understandable. Jax knows that Clay is responsible for Donna's death. He thinks that he should be, delivered up to justice for what he did. And Clay obviously wants to preserve his power as the president of the club and just his life in general. He doesn't want this to end his life or end, the way that he's been living. And I love that scene in the clubhouse when, Jax was like, you better have chosen some, scumbag to take the fall for this because the real murderer of Donna is sitting right in this room. And, Jax is not holding back. He knows that Clay did it. He knows that Clay's responsible. He's going to hold Clay responsible. And Clay basically says, hey, you better watch the way you navigate around this. He's basically just warning Jax like, hey, I have the ability to cover this up. You're not going to just go out there and, exploit this to the whole club. I know you're not. So basically, again, these two are at odds. Definitely was a great, powerful scene, and you're anxious to see just how is this going to resolve itself. Which, of course, it takes most of the season in order for something to end up coming out between those two. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Gemma and Tara, and definitely, you see the relationship between them improving a little bit. And I love how Gemma kind of counsels Tara in how to be an old lady, as they call it, of the club. You know, how to be Jax's wife slash girlfriend, whatever you have it. And basically, Tara's like, how does, excuse me, she basically says to Gemma, how does this all work? You know, how am I supposed to deal with all this? And Gemma basically tells her the only way it works is total disclosure. You know, the only way that this works is if Clay or Jax, you know, whoever she's with, is going to tell Tara and Gemma, you know, basically both of them, the man needs to tell the woman what all is going on with the club, because it's the only way that it works. Staying in the dark, you know, is just denying what the truth is. And Gemma basically has that more of that kind of a relationship with Clay. You know, it's like Clay is supposed to tell her everything. It's the only way it works. Same thing with Tara. You know, Tara starts to realize, okay, this makes sense, you know, because if Jax is willing to tell me everything, then it means that our relationship is real, it's going to be strong, and it's going to last. And I think that she can handle it, you know. And you know, Gemma tells her, if you love the man, you learn to love the club. And I think that's a very powerful statement. You know, it definitely shows, you know, just how different of a lifestyle it might be, you know, for these women. And knowing that Tara's going to want full disclosure is definitely a big point in the show. So basically, Bobby ends up coming back, you know, because of the fact that they sent the witness away, he's not being charged for the murder anymore. He comes home, and basically while he's there, Zobel and Weston come to this shop. And I forgot to mention, basically, Zobel and Weston are part of the League of American Nationalists, and earlier in the episode, they met with Jacob Hale, who's David Hale's older brother, and they met with David Hale as well. And basically what happened is, you know, they tried to tell basically what their goal was. You know, Zobel owns various cigar shops around the, you know, the state. He is an influential businessman, and basically he's part of Lone. And unfortunately, you know, they're a white they're a white power group. They hate all minorities, according to them. You know, and basically they know that Sam Crow is selling guns to the Mayans and the Niners, who are, you know, not of the superior race that they feel. I just want to emphasize that the lone people feel is the way to live. That's their beliefs. That's the way that they operate. And they basically want to recruit Jacob Hale and David Hale into their plan to get rid of the Sons. And, you know, Jacob Hale has always realized that, you know, the Sons have been a threat to his livelihood, and he's willing to get rid of them. And obviously Hale feels the same way, but he's not willing to, you know, use dirty tactics in order to get rid of the Sons. His thought process is, hey, if I arrest them for doing something, that's the way I want to take them down. And he doesn't like the fact that these people are coming into his town. Now, he's not totally, you know, like, and that's the thing is, you know, Hale is kind of stuck in a very, you know, unfortunate position, because he has a chief of police that's not willing to do anything against the Sons, and then he has these businessmen, you know, like Zobel and Weston, who come in and basically say that they're going to use their own methods to try to get rid of the Sons, and Hale just wants justice to be done, you know, and he's kind of in a hard place where he can't do anything. And that's why I think sometimes he's a little tempted to, you know, work with Lone, because of that. Now, basically, you know, Zobel and Weston don't want the Sons selling guns to the Mayans or the Niners, because according to them, you know, they don't fall within their, you know, ideals. You know, they're racist is all it could get. So they basically go to the Teller Moro auto shop where they're having the party and basically tell them, hey, we want you to stop selling guns to the Niners and the Mayans. Anybody who is not white, don't sell them guns. And Clay, of course, is not intimidated. You know, he's not gonna deal with all this BS. He basically tells him flat, you know, he tells Zobel flat out, nobody threatens Sam Crow. We can do whatever we want. I don't give a hoot what you say. You know, and basically saying, you ever come around here again and you're done. You know, he's not going to put up with that. And that's just Clay, you know, and I mean, that's just in general, you know, don't let anybody ever tell you what to do. You know, I mean, it just makes sense in the whole spectrum of things. that they're not going to bow down to these people. So Isabella, was like, okay, we warned you, okay, we're out. So they leave, and basically the party goes on. Jax doesn't stay. He actually ends up going home, and this is where Tara finally basically confronts him about what he was doing, because she finds, I think it was a bloody bandana, basically indicating that Jax obviously did something, and she says, hey, why I can't stay and why I can't deal with this is because I don't trust anybody. And she basically tells Jax flat out, I want total disclosure. You need to tell me everything that you're doing or this isn't going to work. So Jax decides, okay, I'm going to tell you. And he tells her about what he did. And, Tara accepts that, and it shows that their relationship is going to grow. That she can handle this and she is going to trust him. So basically, the episode ends in a very, very extreme way. Gemma is on her way home, and basically, Gemma stops at a red light, and a girl who we later find out is Polly Zobel ends up kidnapping her. Basically, tells her, "Oh, I have a baby choking, and I need your help." So basically, she goes there, and it's not a real baby, and she ends up getting knocked out, taken back to this place where Weston and two other white supremacist people basically rape her. Very brutal scene. Definitely one of the most shocking moments of the entire series. Definitely was a very hard moment. Definitely very tough for Gemma, who's basically a strong-willed woman, and she's basically being humiliated, denigrated by these men. And it's a very unfortunate scene. And they basically tell her, Weston especially says, you need to tell Clay to stop selling guns to the, the Mayans and the Niners, or we're going to find you and do this again. Definitely using dirty tactics in order to meet their ends. They're basically expecting that Gemma's going to go run to them, that Clay and them are going to make a hasty move, and it's going to result in them taking down the Suns. Definitely was a very, very extreme scene. But, it was a good episode. It definitely left a lot. You wanted next week to come already. Definitely was a great episode. I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. I'll be glad to answer them or do a video on those questions or comments. And I just want to thank everybody that has been watching the videos. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.